everyone, and welcome back to Life on Lindy. My name is Stacy. Today we're going to be making a fabric covered Christmas ball ornament. These are all the supplies that we'll be needing. We're going to use a 3-inch styrofoam ball. I got these at Michael's and they were a package of 6 for $5.99. I tried to use regular ornaments that I wasn't going to use anymore, but they all had the little sort of bottleneck on them, and I needed completely round ornaments to make the particular ornaments I'm trying to make. So I got this 3-inch round ornament. I have this little bead. My little bead is called a beehive bead. I got these beads at Hobby Lobby and it says that they were $2.49, and I don't know if I got them on sale or not. It's just a little round bead, and I have some red ribbon. Mine's sort of like cord. And I cut it to, what did I cut it to? Oh, I cut it to about 7 inches maybe. And I folded it in half. And I just inserted it through the hole in the bead and twist it. And that gives me that. And this is what I'll hang my ornament from. And this is a stretchy piece of fabric. It's the Royal Stuart tartan plaid, and that's my theme this year, especially in my living room and my foyer. So this is my fabric, and it's 9 inches one way and 4.5 the other way. And that gives me enough fabric to cover the entire circumference of the ball. I'll do 2 drawstring seams on each end to tighten it, and that will make it look like this. Now sew all of that down. This is the original vintage ornament. I've had this for maybe 15 or 16 years, and I was trying to find some more of them. I could find variations of them, and they all had embellishments and a little bit of a different type of pattern on it, and they just weren't simple enough for what I was looking for, so I decided to make my own. And they're a little bit bigger than these, but I like the bigger size too. I have 5 or 6 of these, and I'll still use those. I'll probably just put them up higher on the tree and these down lower where the tree is a little bit wider. So you'll also need your scissors, needle and thread, some straight pins, and your hot glue gun. So the first thing I'm going to do, since I've already measured and cut, is I'm going to get my thread. I already have my needle threaded here. And I'm just going to use a single strand. You could use a double. I'm just going to use a single. I'm going to tie it off. This is what I'm left with. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in half on itself with the seams together. You can see that they're together. And I'm going to take my needle and thread, and I'm just going to do a running stitch, and it's going to be so close to the edge. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's really, really close to the edge. You don't want to leave a whole lot of fabric showing. So I'm going to do that. And it's just a simple straight stitch. Don't have to be perfect. Once I get this done, I'll tie off my end, then I'll turn it inside out and we'll have a little sleeve. So that just took me probably not even a full minute. This is kind of what it looks like. I'm just gonna pull that through. And on this one, I'm not trying to gather the seam. I want it to be flat. So I'm gonna tie this off. Snip the end, and this is what it looks like. And you can see here, it's not 100% perfect, and that's fine. This fabric, it's got a little bit of stretch in it, just a little bit, but it's enough that it gives, and that it'll just be fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. They're all unique, they're all handmade, and each one's just a tiny bit different from the other. So this is what we're left with. We're left with the sleeve. So at this point, I'm not going to put it together, but I'm going to leave it open. And I'm going to take my thread and my needle and thread, and I'm going to do the same thing, just about 1/8 maybe of an inch from the raw edge. And I'm going to make a seam all the way around. Just that loose, flat, straight stitch all the way around it. And even though it's a little uneven, I'm still going to keep it close to the edge of the raw edge. I'm going to continue this seam, this stitch, around the entire circumference. This is what's going to close off one end. This is what we're left with. It's open, but I'm going to pull it closed. It's a little bit open. Now we have this. And once I get it on to the ornament, I'm going to pull it closed as much as I can right now. I'm going to stitch it to keep it tight. And so it's just got like a tiny little opening in it so far. And with this, we're going to stretch this over the ball. I've got it stitched to keep it closed. So now we're just going to put it over the ball like it's a beanie, a sock cap. And this is what the opening looks like. It's fairly tight, but I'm going to sew it close together because I don't want the white styrofoam ball to show it all. And I'm just sewing it, and it doesn't have to be perfect. This is forgiving. So as you can see here, I have it completely closed off. So I'm just gonna tie that off. That's my sheepadoodle Luke over there whining. Lukey. Reknotted my thread because I cut that off, so I still have my thread. And this is what we have. It's just like a little sock cap. Which you could make other ornaments, little faces, snowmen, whatever, with little hats. It's the same concept. But today, I'm just doing the round Christmas bubble balls. Okay, so we have it here. We know it's gonna fit and stretch to the end to close here. This is the point where I take my ribbon and my bead and I put straight pins in them. I'm gonna put one on the end of each tail. And it's just like this. I'm gonna have this ready and it's gonna sit there. Now I need to put a seam around the edge of this end. So I'm gonna do the same thing on this one that I did with this one, but I'm gonna leave it open this time when I complete it, because I'm gonna have to put this in the center and hot glue it down, and this will be what we hang our ornament from. So I'm gonna make my seam that's really, really close to the edge again, because the closer it is to the edge, the less bulk and less trimming you will have to do if you have excess fabric, because you don't want the ends where the fabric was gathered to be bulky. That's hard to work with. Probably my first couple that I did had a little bit of extra bulk and I had to trim them off, but I did 24 of these, so by the time I got a few of them done, I had perfected it. It probably doesn't take a full minute to get this loose running stitch all the way around the circumference of the material. It's a tedious process, but it's not hard. My colors this year are the colors that are in this fabric. It's red and green, a little bit of gold and silver, a little bit of white, and a little bit of blue. The hard part for me was to find the well, I could find the fabric, but I couldn't find the balls that had the blue stripe in them. They had all the other colors, but the color other than red that was dominant was green. And I was okay with that, but I also needed the blue. I have navy blue as an accent in my living room and in my foyer, and it's in things that I don't want to move. Like I have the big shaggy rugs and I don't want to move those. I have some blue accents in the house. I don't want to move that. So I wanted something to coordinate with my regular decor that I could just add some blue Christmas touches to. So I have my seam all the way around, and you can see I've left it loose. I'm gonna leave my thread attached to it. I'm just gonna stick it there. But this is the part where we use the straight pins. So we find the center. Well, it really wouldn't matter. The center's gonna be right no matter where you put it, because the sleeve is free moving. So I have 2 straight pins here and they're holding the ribbon. And I'm just gonna put some hot glue right around the bottom. And I'm gonna push it down with my scissors. It's hot, don't touch the glue. Then I'm gonna push the straight pins all the way down as well. And I want those really flat. And it will get some glue on your scissors, but it peels off. So that's what it looks like. And at this point, I'm gonna start, the glue will dry fairly quickly. So at this point, I'm going to pull up the sleeve, gather it and tighten it, and sew it down to keep it closed. You could probably do this all with hot glue if you wanted. I just don't think that the ends where the gathers are, where we tighten up the hole, I don't think it would be as finished off or as gathered looking as this looks. So I just prefer to sew it. So I'm sewing this down and I'm just gonna sew it until it's as tight as I want it to be. And that's just a personal preference. The bead hides a lot. The bead will hide a lot. Because once I get this tightened up and I tie off my knot, I'm gonna put some hot glue around the bottom of that bead and that's gonna keep it in place. So I have mine as tight and as neat as I want it. I'm gonna knot off my thread. Now I'm going to put some hot glue just around the edge of the ribbon, enough that it will secure the bead in place. Push the bead down. I push mine in tight. I probably indent the styrofoam just a little bit, but I want it to be that tight. I don't want the bead to move. I just like the look of this. So you hold it for a few seconds. And there's your ornament. That's the original. These are the ones I made. And here they are. Now the next thing we're gonna make is going to be these ribbons. I have about maybe 24 of these as well. They have the colors I'm using this year, and I'm accenting the blue. And I've heard that blue's not on trend this year, but in my house it is. Each bundle, well, I won't say each, but there's probably about 3 different combinations of bows that I've done. Like this ribbon is blue and white, but this ribbon is blue and gold. They all have some gold on them, and they all have this Royal Stuart tartan plaid on them. I'm keeping them simple, and this is how I'm going to do it. I cut my ribbon about, let's measure it. My longest ribbon is 29 inches. And I try to have just a little bit of variation in my sizes. So the longest one was 28 or 29. The next one is 26. And the next one is 24. So I have about a 2-inch variation in all of them. So 24, 26, and about 28. And it's so simple. You just take your ribbon, you lay them out the way you want them, in the order that you want them. And it doesn't really matter because you can pull them apart. Make sure you have your ends the way you want them. Just fold them in half. I folded mine to 6 inches. And then you just gather up the center. Take your wire. When I ran out of wire, I used the ornament hooks. It was late. I didn't want to go anywhere trying to find them. And I just used what I had, so I used some ornament hooks. You just twist it around. You can use this, the tail of the wire, to attach it to your tree, or you can take your tree branches and just attach it with those. Spread them apart a little bit. And this is what I ended up with. And what I do is I attach this whole part inside the tree, and then more than anything, it's the tails that stand out. This is the top of my tree, the top piece that goes on my tree. I've already done my tree topper that I'm going to use this year, and it's just a star and 2 big bows, one on each side, just pulled out. And some of these, they're faux feathery pompous sleeve things. They're just from the floral department. Here's how I do my ribbons. I just stick them in here, and you can take the branches of the tree and just twist it if you want. And fluff out your ribbons so that you have the good side showing. It adds a lot of color. These are the actual ribbons that I will be using this year. And this blue is a little bit different from the other one, but I had it and it was good enough to match everything that I had going on my tree. And I just make sure I have a little bit of gold, and this blue one has just a tiny bit. Just try to keep it all uniform. But that's just how you put your ribbons on there, and they just add a lot of volume. Now up here where I have my main ribbon, I try not to put this actual ribbon too close to that. I want to keep it separated a little bit. But it is my main color. I'm just using my branches here, and I'm just using them like little twist ties, and I'm twisting it around, making sure everything's on the pretty side, just letting it fluff out. And I play with my ribbons and my decorations on my tree on up until the time I take it down. I just like to look at it, and you know, the more you look at something, the more you rearrange it. At least I do. But I just do that all over my tree. I don't know if I do it in any pattern. I just step back and look at it, and it usually takes me a while to decorate my tree. But I just do this all the way down. My tree will sit in the corner, so you will see the sides and the front. But one thing you need to know, you need to decorate with something on the back of your tree, or it will be top heavy and front heavy, and it will lean a little bit. So even things that aren't my favorite or that I don't really care if they're going to show, I try to put something on the back of my tree for some weight. And so with that, these ornaments, and I'll have some more shiny blinky things that I put on here too, but this is just sort of how it turns out, and I really like it. Who knows what I'll do next year, but this year, this is what I'm doing. And in a second, I'll show you how I make the big bows. These I'm going to put on a wreath. I have 2 of them. I have French doors in my foyer, so I'm going to put these on the wreath, and I'm going to hang some bells from the center of them, and they have the tartan plaid on them as well. And I got these at Hobby Lobby, and I got both of them for $15. And I don't really have to do a whole lot to these, but I will do a little bit of a DIY. This is the top of the tree. This is not how it will completely look. Like I said, I have some gold and silver things that I will put on here. And I also have an assortment of different shades of blue that I'll also add to it. That's kind of how it's going to turn out. And I'm excited to get decorating. I know it's not Thanksgiving yet. I've had my fall and Halloween decor up since September. I've had the Halloween decor up since October 1st. I'm ready to move into Christmas. I can have my Christmas tree up and all my decor up on Thanksgiving, and I do host Thanksgiving, one of them, and I can still be just as thankful with my tree up at Thanksgiving. It probably makes me even a little bit more thankful, because Christmas, it just means love and togetherness and joy. And that's what Thanksgiving is to me as well. So let me know how you like this. And in a second, I'll show you how to make the big bows. Now we're gonna make the big bow. I have a spool, it's not quite full, but this is what I have of ribbon, and it's 2.5 inches by 10 yards. First thing you wanna do is you take your end, and you loop it, just make a little tube out of it. Then you decide how big you want your bow to be. I've got this one, let's see. My biggest side is about 7 inches. So there's my first loop. This one doesn't have to be twisted because it's the same on both sides, but I'm gonna twist it just in case your ribbon isn't. So you twist it in the middle. Make another loop. Make sure that they're both about the same size, because now's the time you want to do any adjustments you're going to do, because once you wire it together, you don't want to be pulling at it. So I'm going to give it a twist, make my other loop the same way, twist it again, make the other loop same size, twist it again, and you're just holding it. You're pinching it with your fingers this whole time. So we'll do it again. You take your end. It's got a tube there that you can hold on to. You make your loop. Squeeze it or twist it. Make your other loop. Squeeze it or twist it, depending on if it has a good side and a plain side. So you'll need to twist it if it's got a plain side. Make your other loop, squeeze it or twist it. And you're gonna be holding it pinched between your fingers the whole time. Your other loop, Squeeze it or twist it. Your other loop. Squeeze it or twist it. Either way, you have to keep a tight grip on it with your fingers, like this. So this ribbon, I'm gonna try and use it all because I don't want to cut it. I don't know what else I'm gonna use it for. So far, it has 3 loops on each side. And I'm just gonna keep on going because I have this and I don't want to cut it. So I think we're gonna get 4 loops. Squeeze it or twist it. I have a pre-cut piece of wire. I'm gonna stick it through the tube. And I brought it through. I'm just gonna twist it tight, just like it's a loaf of bread. And you can twist it around and around and around, and that will make it tighter. You want it tight, you want it very tight. The loop that I have here, that helps you hide the wire. So this is what we're left with. Now you can take this and you can also tie it up, which I'll show you how. You just use your wire and twist it up. And if I wanted to cut a tail, this would be the point where I could do that. Spread out the loops. If you're going to put it on something flat, these would be your loops or your tails. I'm not going to cut it because I don't want to cut this ribbon. But if you cut that, then you would have a tail. But you don't have to. You can actually cut this off and then just make long tails like I did with the tree. But this is how your ribbon would look. I would probably cut this and dovetail the ends. If you're putting it on something flat, it makes it fuller. If you're going to put it on something where you see all sides of it, you'd need 2 of these, or maybe even 3 if you wanted it that full. I have 2 on my tree topper, but it's that simple. That's all there is to making a bow, a full bow. And you just pull it out and shape it however you want it. And if you wanted to, after you cut this and dovetail it, you can even add longer pieces of ribbon all around it if you wanted it to cascade down your tree. It's just that simple. And I might keep this one to go on top of my skinny tree that's going to be in the foyer because I quite like this bow. But that's it. If you want it fuller, you can add more loops to each side. If I come up with any more craft suggestions or things that I'm gonna do that I think you might be interested in, I'll show them. Interact with me. Leave me a comment or an emoji. I'll answer you back. I'd love to hear from you. But thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please give it a like and consider subscribing. I'm still trying to get to my first 1,000 subscribers, and I would love to have you here with me every week. All of my videos are a little bit different. Sometimes I do cooking videos, sometimes I'm cleaning the house, sometimes I'm decorating, rearranging. You see a lot of dogs. You'll see my husband and I doing projects. We grill. It's just a whole lot of life here on Lindy. Also follow me on Instagram at Life on Lindy with Stacy. I'll see you the next time, guys. Bye.